Then we'll proceed with figure of merit for FM systems, frequency modulated systems. This derivation involves a little more complexity. We know the FM equation is also a little more complex because we are dealing with angle rather than amplitude. When you are working with amplitude, it is very simple. Change in amplitude can be easily monitored, easily recovered at the receiver, everything. Whereas change in angle, it's a little more difficult to perceive and recover, right? We use frequency discriminator circuits. Also, some frequency discriminators like slope detectors, and then followed with envelope detector, so on. Balance discriminator, any kind of frequency discriminator is used. So let us try to analyze the figure of merit for FM systems. Please follow carefully. The general diagram remains the same. The beginning part till this band pass filter is always the same, right? So we know here we have the FM signal S of t. At this point, the initial stage of the receiver, the input stage, will be received signal S of t plus added white noise W of t. We are going to consider additive white Gaussian noise, and we are going to remember that additive white Gaussian noise accounts for all the noise added by the components in the receiver as well as in the channel. So everything put together, we are considering that noise here. Okay. And we are treating it to be additive in nature. It adds to the received signal. Now, this band pass filter used should have a bandwidth BT. Remember, what is the bandwidth of FM signal? Carson's rule. Tell me, what is the equation for bandwidth of FM? Yes? 2 into 1 plus beta times FM, or 2 into 1 plus D times W. Depends on which type of message we take. Yes or no? So you should be familiar with all this now. You're already studying this for the internals. The bandwidth of FM as specified by Carson's rule is given as 2 into 1 plus beta times the message bandwidth FM, where beta is the modulation index. Suppose I have a multi-tone or band limited signal with message highest frequency component W, then we call that modulation index by the name D, deviation factor. Okay, so beta is replaced with D. Both are going to measure the same thing. Only when the message is different. Here it's a single tone message in the first equation. In the second case, we consider a band limited message with bandwidth W. So this band pass filter should have a transmission bandwidth of BT if it should be capable of passing the received FM signal. So when this FM signal is received, it is passed through this band pass filter, and usually the bandwidth of the band pass filter is quite small when compared to the carrier frequency. Usually FC is much greater than bandwidth. So the noise W of T gets converted to filtered narrowband filtered white noise N of T after the band pass filter. So what would be the value of this signal X of T? The value of this signal X of T will be the received FM signal plus narrow band or band pass filtered noise. Just like how we consider in other cases. After the band pass filter with bandwidth BT, the received FM signal will be filtered along with the narrowband noise N of T. Okay. The next part is your FM demodulator. So what will the FM demodulator normally have? The FM demodulator has a limiter in the beginning. Can somebody tell or guess what is the use of the limiter? Okay, what will a limiter do? What will a limiter do normally? Yes? A limiter limits the amplitude of the waveform. So a limiter puts a limit on the amplitude of the waveform. Say I have this FM waveform like this, and this FM waveform is suddenly subject to amplitude variations due to noise. Maybe some sudden amplitude changes or spikes it's going to have because of noise in the channel. So the best way how we treat this noise induced in the amplitude is by using a amplitude limiter or clipper. All of you have studied clipping circuits, you worked with that also. So you're just going to introduce a clipping circuit at the initial part of the demodulator. So what this clipping circuit does, it's going to limit this amplitude of this FM wave to something very close to zero. So I'll almost get a square like wave. So this FM wave will be converted like a square wave of constant amplitude, but varying in the width of the pulses, varying in frequencies. That is the job of this limiter. So using this limiter, what are we trying to do? We are trying to remove all the fluctuations due to noise. Noise which gets added in the amplitude of the signal, such fluctuations are eliminated because of this limiter. Okay, so this limiting circuit is nothing but a clipping circuit which limits the amplitude of the signal to something similar to that of a square wave. Now, we have a frequency modulated signal which almost looks like a square wave. So there is a band pass filter which is an inherent part of this limiter. There will also be a band pass filter, or let's say an LC tuned circuit. I told you LC tuned circuit is one best way of realizing a band pass filter. We have used this many times, right? So I'll make use of an LC tuned circuit acting like a band pass filter, which rounds off these square waves to something like a sinusoid again. So after band pass filter, this is after limiter, this is your FM wave, the received FM wave. Okay, this is your received FM wave. After limiter, it comes to something like this. After band pass filter, again this signals will get rounded off. So you will get back an FM wave which is limited in amplitude. This is now completely independent of the carrier signal amplitude because we have limited the amplitude of this FM wave. We are interested in the angle. Please remember, in FM, it is the angle which carries information regarding the message. So whatever you play with amplitude, it doesn't matter. You do all this for your own benefit to remove unwanted noise spikes in the signal. So we limit the signal first to some amplitude very close to zero, and then we are going to, since it will become a square like waveform, we are going to round off that square waveform by using an LC tuned circuit, which is an inherent part of the limiter. The band pass filter is an inherent or the latter part of a limiter. It will do this job. Now, output of this is, so here I'm going to get the FM signal plus the noise signal. FM, which is S of t plus noise. Again, it's the same almost, except that we are limiting the amplitude. Now that is fed to a discriminator. This discriminator is a combination of two circuits. So can you tell me what would be present in this discriminator? This discriminator would normally include initially a slope circuit It can be a balanced discriminator or single slope circuit, where the output of that slope circuit is a voltage which is proportional to the input frequency. The change in input frequency will generate a proportional voltage V of t at the output of this slope circuit. I told you slope can be single slope or balanced discriminator, dual slope. And so what type of signal will this V of t be? V of t is a signal. Remember, output of a slope circuit. Slope circuit has characteristics like this. That means the voltage of a slope circuit varies in proportion to the frequency. Yes or no? As frequency increases, voltage is increasing. So I'm going to get a signal whose output will be varying according to frequency. So what happens in this FM signal? The FM signal, when it is passed through this slope circuit, I'm going to get a signal which is what? What type of signal can I say this is? You're going to get a signal which will be AM plus FM, hybrid. You're going to get a hybrid signal when you pass the FM signal through a slope circuit. This is like kind of revision of all what you have studied here. Slope circuit generates an output voltage that is proportional to the input frequency, and whenever an FM wave like this, so this FM wave, whenever it passes through a slope circuit, you're going to get an output which will be combination of AM and FM. So you're going to get a combined AM plus FM signal at the output of the slope circuit. Now, how do I extract the message from this? Where is the message information present in this waveform? Yes? What is there in a slope circuit? After slope circuit, what do we normally use? You people haven't studied anything, huh? What are you planning for the test? This is bad. Either or you're so you don't want to answer any question which I ask, or you haven't studied. See, output of a slope circuit, which is a voltage that is proportional to the input frequency. This combined AM and FM signal. So the amplitude of the FM signal is made to vary according to the frequency of the signal. Whenever frequency is high, you see the amplitude is increasing, this blue waveform. And whenever frequency is low, the amplitude is decreasing. So because I have generated this type of signal, now I can extract the required message by simply what? What should I do to extract the required message? Just get the envelope of this combined signal. The combinational signal, if you extract the envelope, you are going to get a signal which is your message signal. So this signal would be your detected message. Hence, output of the slope circuit should be sent through an envelope detector, and the final output V0 of t will be proportional to the message. This is present within a discriminator. So you see this discriminator will have a combined slope circuit and an envelope detector. And when it takes the FM input signal, it's going to generate an output signal that is proportional to the message. So all this working is really beautiful if you understand how it happens. Okay. Finally, after the discriminator, whatever output we are going to get, we send it through a low pass filter to remove unwanted noise components. Please remember, at this point, I'm going to get the detected message plus detected noise. Remember, I'm going to have message plus noise. This message is going to be present within a bandwidth of W. Remember, our message signal bandwidth is only W. Therefore, the noise signal which is present for the whole of BT, this noise signal was present for the complete bandwidth of the FM signal. What was the bandwidth of the FM signal? BT. So noise which was filtered for the complete bandwidth of the FM. But we know that bandwidth of the message will be much less than bandwidth of the FM. So I'm going to make use of a low pass filter with cutoff frequency, that of the message. The message highest frequency component is W. I'll use a low pass filter with cutoff frequency equal to W. Then I'll be able to extract the message correctly or the signal proportional to the message correctly. And I will also be limiting this noise. The detected noise will also be limited in bandwidth, and we'll see what a great advantage it's going to be. When I limit the bandwidth of the noise signal, the effect of noise signal will reduce significantly, because the behavior of noise will be in such a way that it increases as a square function of the frequency. The higher the frequency, the noise will be proportional to F square. You'll see that when we do the analysis. Hope you understood the basics of this FM receiver. So FM receiver has the received FM signal with noise, white noise, then band pass filter with bandwidth BT, and output of the band pass filter X of t will be FM signal S of t plus filtered noise N of t. Then we'll use a limiter. The job of this limiter is to clip the received FM signal, so that the spurious or sudden amplitude fluctuations which will be affecting the signal like this will get removed, and I'm going to get something similar to a square wave. And the inherent band pass filter which is present in a limiter, which includes an LC tuned circuit, will round off this square, and we'll again get back a sinusoidal FM signal with limited amplitude. And then we are going to feed that FM signal through a frequency discriminator, which includes a slope circuit and an envelope detector. The job of this slope circuit is to get an output voltage which is proportional to the frequency, which means we are going to get a hybrid AM and FM signal. So the FM signal with high amplitude at high frequencies and low amplitude at low frequencies. This is the kind of signal you're going to get. Then when you send it through an envelope detector, if I'm able to take out the envelope of this hybrid signal, that signal will be same as the message or very similar to the message. And finally, since I know the FM bandwidth was BT and the message bandwidth is only W, and W is much less than BT, I'm going to use a final low pass filter to filter out only the required message. Okay. And then it will surely limit the noise also. The detected noise which was filtered in a bandwidth BT will now get limited to a bandwidth W, which is going to reduce the effect of noise significantly. So let's try to analyze the working of this system. The same thing is explained in words here. So let's start off our analysis. From this point, the incoming FM signal S of t is defined. Standard equation for FM we know, right? So what is the standard equation for FM? AC cos 2 pi FCT plus 2 pi KF integral M of t dt. You can take M of tau or M of t, both are same. Okay. And for simplicity of analysis, let's consider this second term as a phase change phi of t, where 2 pi kf integral 0 to t m of t dt, we are going to call it as phi of t, an angle. Okay. Next, we can therefore write S of t as AC cos 2 pi FCT plus phi of t. So this standard representation we are going to use. Okay. I hope it's clear till this point. So here we are just going to represent the received signal. For the second part 2 pi kf integral m of t, I'll just replace it with an angle phi of t. Next, the noisy signal after the band pass filter. Remember, the first stage is a band pass filter. So what would be the signal after the band pass filter? It is received signal plus noise. S of t plus n of t, narrow band noise. And I told you narrow band noise can either be written in canonical form with Ni and Nq in phase and quadrature components, or it can be written in envelope and phase form like this. Here we are going to express it in envelope and phase because we are interested in watching the phase angle variations. Because it's the angle which changes in FM, I want to know what is the angle of noise that is affecting it. Okay. So we are expressing this narrowband noise as R of t cos 2 pi FCT plus psi of t. Now, what was this? Equation 4. Okay, let's call this equation 4 and let's try to draw the phasor diagram for this. So if we draw the phasor diagram for this, you would understand how this will look. As usual, let me consider 0 and let me consider the reference as cos 2 pi FCT as the reference. Okay. So if I take cos 2 pi FCT as the reference, how will I represent this first term? What should I draw? From 0, I should draw a straight line of length AC, which is making an angle phi of t with the reference x-axis. Remember, I'm using cos 2 pi FCT as the reference. So when I consider this signal, I should draw a straight line of length AC, which makes an angle phi of t with the reference. Okay. So this is how I represent this first signal. Now, how do I draw the second signal? The second signal is also making an angle psi of t. Normally, with practical measurements, we have found that with practical measurements, it is seen that this noise angle psi of t is greater than phi of t. So, if I, rather than trying to draw this signal here, let me take it at 0 only. Later on, I can project it here. Okay. So, because if it was a straight line on the axis, drawing it here was okay. But since this is already an inclined line with an angle phi, let me take the second signal also from 0 and let's find the resultant. So how should I represent R of t? R of t should be a straight line of length R of t making an angle psi of t with the horizontal. So this angle is psi of t and the length of this phasor is this magnitude R of t. Is this clear? We have considered psi of t to be a much larger angle than phi because that's how it is found in practice. Now, how do I find x of t? How do I find? I have represented both. How to find x of t in this phasor diagram? X of t should basically be the resultant if I complete this parallelogram. Yes or no? So if I complete, say this R of t is something like this. If I try to complete this parallelogram, the signal which I am going to get here, this would be your resultant x of t. correct? So complete this parallelogram and find the resultant x of t. What I'm truly interested is in simplifying this phasor diagram. So let me try to find what will the angle be which x of t makes with AC, and what is the angle which r of t makes with AC here. So what is the value of this angle? Let me consider. Let me name this angle from here to here. What x of t makes with this, let me call it the angle theta. Why I'm calling it the angle theta? This is our angle of interest. Remember, I want the angle which this resultant makes with the horizontal if I'm going to analyze the combined signal. Okay. And that angle we are naming as theta. Hope you followed this phasor. Any doubts? Yes or no?
No, no doubts.
Okay. If you have no doubts now, can you tell me what would be the value of this angle? How much would this angle be? What x of t makes with AC? How much would it be? This total
Theta
is
minus
theta.
5.
This
Theta
is
minus
phi. So it should be theta minus phi, right? This total angle which x of t makes with the horizontal is theta. The angle which AC makes with the horizontal is phi. So this angle from x of t to AC should be theta minus phi. Agreed? And what would be the angle which R of t makes with AC? This angle. Can you tell me what is the value of this angle? So I'm finding everything with respect to AC because I'm going to draw a simplified phasor diagram. What would be the value of this
psi
angle?
minus phi.
Psi minus
Phi.
phi, right? So the total angle here is psi, which R of t makes with cos 2 pi fct, and AC makes an angle phi. So this is psi minus phi. Now let's draw a simplified phasor by considering the complete angle of the what do you say, signal AC cos 2 pi fct plus phi. I'll consider as the reference axis now. So you say we can write a simplified phasor diagram for analysis as follows. So this is 0, and along the x-axis, I'm going to consider cos 2 pi fct plus phi, the combined angle of the signal. So the AC which we write, this AC will be along this axis now. I want this signal to lie along the axis so that it will simplify my job. So this AC, the length of this phasor AC will be along this line, because you see that is part of the equation. You remember the equation which we have written here, right? See, AC cos 2 pi fct plus phi. So since we've taken the reference as cos 2 pi fct plus phi now, that is, it is AC, the length of the phasor will be along the axis. Next, the second signal R of t, I should write. So from here, I should start R of t. How would I consider R of t? Let's say from this point. Now, since this is along the axis, I'll continue from here. This R of t is of length as shown. And what is the angle it's going to make with this? That's what we calculated here. What is the angle R of t makes with AC? Psi minus phi. This angle, right? So the angle here will become psi minus phi. This is the angle that the noise signal R of t makes with the angle of AC. This AC, that's what we computed. Okay. And now if I want to find the resultant of these two, the resultant of these two would be obtained by joining a straight line to this point. This would be x of t, what we need. And what is the angle x of t makes with the horizontal now? You see the angle x of t makes with AC is theta minus phi. Yes or no? We calculated it here. The angle x of t makes with AC is theta minus phi. Are you following this? If you have any doubts, please ask. Now, this is the phasor which we are going to consider in our analysis of FM receiver. So when I have to analyze FM receiver, your textbook directly gives you this phasor. You just have to understand how you get this phasor. Okay. So initially we wrote the complete phasor taking only cos 2 pi FCT as the reference and considering all angles. Then we showed that the resultant x of t makes an angle theta minus phi with the signal AC, and the noise signal R of t makes an angle psi minus phi with the signal. So the final phasor diagram and the resultant are as shown. Okay. Now, once we have this, let's try to remember we are doing FM. Since we are doing FM demodulation, we are interested in angle of the signal rather than the amplitude. Okay. Therefore, in FM, angle is important. We should get the information only by analyzing the angle. So let's try to analyze this angle. Let me consider in this circuit, in this phasor, it's easy to find tan theta minus phi. Can you define what would this be? Tan theta minus phi here. What is the opposite phasor to this angle? I should find the corresponding what? Perpendicular to form the right angle triangle here. So can you tell me what would be the value of this line in terms of R of t? See, this blue line is R of t. So when I drop a perpendicular from this edge onto this, what would be the value of that? How do you write it? It is R of t sine of this angle, right? Sine of the angle which it is making here. Sine psi minus phi. That is this vertical component. And what is the value of this horizontal component which R of t makes? It will be R of t cos of the angle psi minus phi. Are you following all this? These are simple analysis of right angle triangles and phasors. So if I have a phasor R of t like this, and I form a right angle triangle using that, the perpendicular one is obtained as the hypotenuse into sine of the angle, and the in phase component, the horizontal component, is obtained as R of t cos of the angle. Okay, please remember that. Now, can you define what is tan of theta minus phi? It is the perpendicular component divided by the horizontal component. Tan theta is opposite side by adjacent side. Yes or no? So what is this opposite side? It is R of t sine psi minus phi divided by what would be the value of adjacent side? I have AC first, the length AC plus R of t cos psi minus phi is the value of adjacent side. The adjacent side length will be AC plus R of t cos of psi minus phi. and the perpendicular side length will be r of t sine psi minus phi. Is this okay with you? What was the equation number? I think 4, the last one, right? Did you follow this? Please let me know. Please interrupt if you have any doubts. If not, I have to continue. Okay. So tan of the given angle is given by opposite side by adjacent side. You get this. Now, we know that generally what happens, we have considered if we'll treat two different values of CNR, just like how we did in AM. If carrier to noise ratio is much greater than 1, then I can assume AC to be much greater than the noise signal N of T, right? Then which component can be neglected here in equation 5? Yes. When I consider the carrier signal to be large, which component can I neglect? Tan theta minus phi becomes R of T sine psi minus phi divided by AC. I'll neglect this second term because the second term involves amplitude of the noise signal. This is nothing but noise. N of T is represented as R of T cos cos of 2 pi fct plus I, right? So whatever noise component I have, when it is added to AC, I can neglect it. So I'll neglect it in the denominator and I'm going to get this equation. Now, also, so many assumptions which we made. Also, if the angle is small, then tan of the angle, what do I equate it to? When I'm having a very small angle, tan of the given angle will be equal to the angle itself. Like we do that sine theta expansion, no? Just like that. Theta minus theta square by 2 factorial theta cube. Similarly, tan theta, if I expand, and if that angle theta is very small, then tan theta becomes approximately equal to theta itself. And let's consider that. So let's write, therefore, this equation, I'll directly write the angle. Therefore, theta minus phi is equal to R of T sine psi minus phi by AC. Or I can say I'm interested in angle theta of T. I'm trying to isolate that. So I'll bring phi of T to the other side. Minus becomes plus R of T sine psi minus phi divided by AC. Okay. So this is one part of the simplification. Again, I can simplify it one more step. Sorry, what's the equation number? 6. Also, we know that psi is considered to be much greater than phi. We had taken it initially itself. See, initially when we analyzed, I told you we'll consider psi to be greater than phi, which is according to practical measurements. So the angle made by the noise component is surely much greater than the angle made by the signal component. So if I use this also in equation 6, what will I get? Using this in equation 6, theta of T becomes equal to phi of T plus R of T sine what? R of T, I should consider only psi. The value which I'm subtracting, I'm going to consider it is very small. It will be approximated to 0. So I'm taking this as approximated to 0. So r of t sine psi divided by AC. Okay, one more step in simplification here. If you remember the right angle triangle made by r of t, remember r of t, the in phase component is ni of t and the quadrature phase component is nq of t. So can you tell me what would this r of t sine psi be, and this angle is psi. Among these components, can you tell me what should I replace r of t sine psi with? R of t sine of psi, sine of the given angle, is the vertical component nq of t. Yes or no? See, we did it just now. Sine means hypotenuse into the perpendicular side. Cos means hypotenuse into the horizontal side. So ni of t is r of t cos psi and nq of t is r of t sine psi. Right? Therefore, I can write theta of t as phi of t plus, I'll put nq of t here instead of r of t sine psi. I know nq of t is equal to r of t sine of the given angle. Right? So I'll replace this r of t sine psi with nq of t divided by AC. Is this okay? So this is the expression which we are going to analyze after it passes through the what? Frequency discriminator. So this is the input to the frequency discriminator. If you want to just expand this one step further, what did we treat as phi of t? Phi of t was 2 pi kf integral 0 to t m of t dt. So this was phi of t. I'm just replacing it back, plus the quadrature phase component of noise by AC. This represents the angle theta of t, which is fed to the next stage, that is the frequency discrimination stage. So please remember this equation. So this signal goes to frequency discrimination stage or frequency discriminator. Okay. Now, how do I analyze this output of the frequency discriminator? Okay. So now we have the angle theta given by this expression, and when this is fed to a frequency discriminator, let's see what happens to the output. Output of frequency discriminator, the output voltage of frequency discriminator V of t is proportional to the input frequency of the signal. Remember, it is an FM wave which is coming along with noise. So the output voltage is made proportional to the input frequency. Or if I want to put a proportionality constant, I can say K into Fi and let K be 1 for simplicity. Let me consider this is 1. I don't want to include one more factor in the analysis. Therefore, what can I say? Therefore, the output voltage of the discriminator is equal to the input frequency. And how will I find this frequency from the angle? Remember, equation 8 is the angle. From that, how do we get the frequency? From equation 8, Fi of t can be obtained as, how to get the frequency, discrete frequency from the angle? Yes? 1 by 2 pi d theta by dt. Yes or no? Here I'm not calling it theta I, I'll just call it as d theta. So I'll write the same thing here. It is Fi of t, the instantaneous frequency, is obtained as 1 by 2 pi d theta by d. We did so many problems based on this also. Getting the instantaneous frequency from angle is just differentiating the angle and dividing it with 2 pi. If I don't divide with 2 pi, I'm going to get omega, the angular frequency. If I want the regular frequency f, I should divide this with 2 pi. So can you tell me what would be the value of Fi from this equation? I have to divide. So let me take 1 by 2 pi d theta by dt. RHS, what will happen? 1 by 2 pi into 2 pi kf differential of integral of m of t dt. So in the first term, this 2 pi kf is a constant. So now I should differentiate this. I've already divided it with 2 pi. So differentiate this. I'm going to get this. And the second term is 1 by 2 pi AC here. Differential of the quadrature component of noise NQ of T. So we are just differentiating equation 8 and dividing it with 2 pi to get an expression for the instantaneous frequency Fi. Okay. So what would this be? So I know that V is equal to Fi. I can skip Fi in the next step. 2 pi cancels. I'm going to get Kf. Here differential and integral will cancel. So Kf into m of t. The first term, I'll get only Kf into m of t. In the second term, I'm going to get 1 by 2 pi AC differential of NQ of t. Okay. Therefore, this is the output of the frequency discriminator part or the slope detector part, right? Now, if this is the output of the frequency discriminator or slope detector, I have the message signal plus noise signal. Can I say this is in the form of detected message plus detected noise? Yes or no? We normally try to write the output in the form of detected message plus detected noise. So it is surely expressed as a sum of detected message and detected noise. What was the equation number? So let's say equation 9. From 9, can you find what is the expression for the power in the detected message? Power in detected message. I should consider this is the detected message. What would be the power? Kf square m square t averaged or Kf square into Pm. Yes or no? So this is the power in the detected message. This is easy. Finding the power in this signal is going to task us a bit. How do I find the power in the detected noise? Okay. Now, ND of T, the detected noise signal is 1 by 2 pi AC differential of NQ of T. Okay. So 1 by 2 pi AC differential of NQ of T is the detected noise. It would be difficult for me to try to find the power directly here because there is a differential. So let's find the power spectral density. First, let's find the Fourier transform. So find the Fourier transform of the signal. Oh, some 2-3 people have joined now. See, such derivations, such important things, if you miss, it would be really difficult for you to analyze and understand these things on your own. FM has also been asked in exam for 10 to 12 marks 3 to 4 times before. So what is the Fourier transform of the signal? Let me call this ND of F, detected noise, left hand side. 1 by 2 pi AC is a constant, so the Fourier transform is also constant. Do you remember what will be included in the Fourier transform whenever there is a differential? Anybody? Whenever I have d by dt, if I try to find the Fourier transform of a differentiated signal, it will always have j2 pi f added in its Fourier transform. And NQ of t, I'm going to call its Fourier transform as NQ of f. Okay. So please remember this. Differential of a signal will always include j2 pi f. We have done this before actually. Now I can cancel this 2 pi. And if I want to find the power spectral density, ND square of f, I can say I have 1 by AC square here and j square f square into NQ of f square, right? So power spectral density, I told you, is the given signal into its conjugate. In this case, NQ of f and its conjugate, when we consider, we'll say it's NQ square of f. And similarly, here ND into ND, see, SND of f is normally written as ND of f into the conjugate of ND of f. These two put together, it becomes ND square of f, and we are interested in the magnitude only. So if I consider only the magnitude, considering only magnitude, what happens? ND square of f becomes, this j square will actually be -1. If I take the magnitude, that goes off. So f square by AC square into NQ square of f. Okay, all magnitude functions. So f square by AC square into NQ square of f, I'm going to get for ND square of f. Or in other words, the power spectral density of the detected noise SND of f can be written as f square by AC square into SNQ of f, the power spectral density of the quadrature component of the noise signal. Let me call this equation 11. So we'll continue with this in the afternoon and solve some problems also. Do you prefer having class in the afternoon or tomorrow morning first hour?